Former Attorney General Bill Barr thought he was walking into just another hearing, a place where power speaks uninterrupted, and objections from the floor can be swatted away with legal jargon. But what he didn't anticipate was a force he couldn't control: Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. As Barr attempted to challenge and discredit her motion, an urgent legislative proposal addressing judicial overreach in marginalized communities, he used every classic strategy in the book. He called the motion frivolous. He accused her of playing politics. He tried to box her into silence by drowning her in procedural language. But Jasmine didn't just push back. She dismantled his argument piece by piece with clarity, facts, and fire. She looked him in the eye and asked, with a tone both poised and piercing, "Are you trying to outlaw justice for the people, or just justice for people like me?" The words cut through the courtroom like glass, and in that moment everything shifted. The room grew still. Barr, who once controlled the tempo of every conversation, was suddenly on the defensive. Jasmine began laying out her case, not just for the motion itself, but for the very people it was designed to protect. She listed the numbers: statistical disparities in sentencing, racial bias in arrests, the overwhelming weight of wrongful convictions. These weren't abstract figures to her. They were stories, names, lives. Her voice never rose in volume, but it rose in power. "When you ignore the motion," she said, "you ignore the people. You ignore me." Barr tried to interrupt her, but the moderator stepped in, cutting him off for the first time in the session. And with that, the traditional balance of control crumbled. Now in command of the room, Jasmine continued, not with anger, but with righteous resolve. She wasn't just a lawmaker defending policy. She was a woman standing in the middle of a storm that had been brewing for generations. Her next words silenced even her harshest critics. "I'm not here to perform," she said. "I'm here because people are dying. While y'all argue procedures, we bury our babies." That sentence alone felt like a bullet to the institution. Not because it was loud, but because it was true. She wasn't debating. She was mourning. And through that mourning, she was fighting. What followed next was a masterclass in dismantling power with purpose. She spoke of the structural rot built into the justice system, of how laws protect those who write them, but rarely those they govern. "You built a system where power protects power," she said, staring down the former Attorney General. "But this motion is the first step in protecting people from that power." And then, without raising her voice, she delivered the moment that would be replayed across the internet for days to come. She pulled out a folder, nothing fancy, just paper, truth, and grief. Inside were handwritten letters and printed testimonies from victims of wrongful convictions, each page a life disrupted, each line a cry unheard. She read their names aloud, slowly, deliberately, as the silence in the room turned into reverence. One man had lost 23 years. Another woman missed the birth of her first child. A third died in prison before his innocence could be proven. Their stories echoed louder than any debate. Desperate to reclaim his footing, Barr accused her of emotional manipulation. But Crockett didn't flinch. She didn't deny the emotion. She embraced it. "You call it emotional," she replied. "I call it human. You outlaw my motion, you outlaw compassion." The room had no comeback, not even Barr. In that moment, something broke, not in her, but in the illusion that power is always right when it speaks the loudest. Jasmine Crockett proved that truth doesn't need a megaphone. It just needs to be spoken clearly, courageously, and without apology. The clip went viral within minutes. Millions watched as one woman turned a courtroom into a confessional and forced America to listen. People shared the video not just for its drama, but because they felt seen, heard, and defended. Hashtags exploded across platforms. Interviews followed. Even politicians who had previously distanced themselves from Crockett began echoing her words. The motion, once dismissed, passed with overwhelming public support. But the real win wasn't in the votes. It was in the wake it left behind. This wasn't just a legal moment, it was a cultural one. Jasmine Crockett didn't walk into that hearing to play politics. She walked in carrying the weight of stories America often tries to forget. And when she spoke, she didn't speak for the people. She spoke as the people. She